Hey friends, it is just such a lovely evening out here that I thought I'd bring you along for my little garden walk. So we're here in my cool flower garden. Cool flowers are those cool season hardy annuals. Most of this stuff, we've already started replacing some of them. There's a few sunflower beds in here. But most of these, like these, are really hard to see because I just cut this morning. This is Scabiosus Black Knight, and so it's cut pretty clean, but you can see there's a bazillion of them. And you might notice, if you're following along with us, that these are not netted. That's because we just never got to it this spring, and all it's going to take is one good storm to take a lot of these flowers down. So I'm just admitting my error. It's, sometimes you just have to make choices, right? So anyway, I just want to show you something else. So right here, I have a couple of these on my farm. We call these habitat islands. This one's about 20 feet wide, and it's the length of the garden, which is like 85 feet. And we've deliberately planted several native plants, lots of Rudbeckia, as you can see coming up in here. And I'm just looking to see what else. There's some other stuff that is reseeded in here, as well as a bunch of native stuff, better known as weeds. But this is like home base for a lot of our, we have a lot of turtles here, lots of native bees. So this is kind of a really cool spot. So we don't mow it. We don't really do anything with it. Sometimes I'll go in there with a weed eater and kind of cut some of the vegetation away from flowers as they're growing. So this is my big garden, which used to be about over 1.25 acres, but I've really trimmed it back. And it's just really kind of lovely out here tonight. I'm also, in an airstream pathway. We have lots of big airplanes, including Air Force One that flies over on a regular basis. Love this red Fire King. I mean, this will get, probably about 2 inches across. This is a bud, hasn't done anything yet. My book, Cool Flowers, is all about all of these plants that we fall planted here in my Zone 7B 8A garden last fall, and now they're coming on. And this isn't the best year we've ever had. We've had an unusually dry spring. I mean, really weirdly so. We usually are battling too much rain. So a lot of our stuff isn't quite as tall as it would normally be. And we do irrigate, but it's just not the same. So these are Rudbeckias that we've planted. We grow probably about 5 or 6 different varieties of Rudbeckia. This is one of my favorites. You can't tell yet. It's Goldilocks. It's a double. And this is a super sweet landscape plant, but an awesome cut flower. And this is one, I cut this really hard today. This is Monarda. That is a bee balm. And this is the stage we cut it in. It looks a little different than most. Here's one. This one got away from me. It gets this little pink bloom on it, and super winter hardy, and it will reseed. I think it's probably winter hardy up to Zone 6, and it gets super tall. A really, really lovely flower to grow. And here's something over here I wanted to show you. So these are some of our sunflower successions. We've already pulled these cool flowers out. There was Bupleurum here, Nigella, some of the annuals that were cool season hardy annuals that we're already done with. So here's a bunch of Sweet William, and look at this dill. I cut the heck out of this today. We cut a bunch of this for our bouquets this week. This is really beautiful stuff. and people love it. We actually like fly this at the top of their bouquet, so their canopy of flowers is right here, and people always say, we want the fireworks. That's what they call it. So Tucker's over there in his dog yard, because I'm telling y'all, the rabbits are so thick out here that he'd be gone in a minute. I mean, he'd chase him right through the garden. So here's our poppy pods that we've been following, right? So these are called the giant poppy pods. We grow them for the pod. The flower, which you see here, which is, we just had a little bit of rain. This flower only lasts about 24 hours. Let's see if we can see inside this thing. And inside there is this poppy pod. And we actually are growing them this year for seed, so we'll have enough stock to add to our stock. But these guys, the longer you leave them, can you hear the seed in there? The longer you leave them, the more they swell. And see, these are starting to get blemished because they've been sitting out here and they've gotten rained on. If I was going to use these in fresh bouquets, which they are lovely for, I would cut them like this. See, this is a relatively new one. It's not enormous. That's probably the size of, bigger than about the size of a golf ball. That would be a good size. This is not very usable. Look how big that booger is. That's not very usable in a bouquet. I mean, it just looks odd. So we're using, these are called, you can find the seed on our website. And once you have this, the seed and get them going in your garden, you can save your own seed. You don't have to keep buying them. And these are fall planted up to zone 6 for sure. And they're just really, really cool. Super loved by honeybees. The honeybees fight over these. Our neighbor has 19 hives, and his entire clan spends their days over here when these guys are blooming. But as you can see, there's just not many blooms going on now. So here's some more. That's lambada. This was planted here last year, and it reseeded itself. It is not a perennial, but it will reseed fairly strong if it likes where you put it. See, we have, I mean, we just appreciate these. This is the no-till part of my garden, and so we get a lot of reseeders, where that doesn't happen down there where we use, you know, we till and use a tractor. So these guys are just really getting bigger and bigger. Constantly going by here and doing this, y'all, shaking them. And they're just so really cool. Look how big this one is. So I don't know if y'all have heard, but we're actually opening our farm. We used to do that once a year, and of course we didn't last year because of the pandemic. So June 26th, it's going to be a free-for-all here. We have people coming from all walks of the country. And we'd love for you to come. We're in southeastern Virginia, and it's just my little farm, but people were just really flattered and excited to have so many folks here. So here's my straw flowers, and we actually pinched this side of the bed and didn't pinch that side, and that way we get some blooms early. As you can see, those are just starting. These guys close up at night. But over on this side, these have already started to branch, so we get the best of both worlds. So I wanted to take you down here and just walk along the head. This is elephant garlic here. We grow that to eat. We don't cut these. They stink too much. Our customers think they look beautiful till they take them home, and they're really stinky. There's more cool flowers, 2 beds of snaps, and now we're starting into the warm season. This is some just planted coxcomb. And I cut our first zinnias today. And this bed has not been netted yet, obviously, but I've netted many of them. Let's just walk in. These green zinnias are just really, you can see where I stripped today. I got 8 buckets out of here. This really isn't very much, but the lime green zinnias, which I'm not a fan of, because they just don't hold up very long. They get dirty really, really quickly. I did a lot of pinching today and cutting back. We have So many more flowers planted. This is all coxcomb. This is zinnias, and there's really, I cut them today, so there's really not a whole lot to look at here. My favorite color, y'all, orange is coming up. We grow so many more flowers than we need for our on-farm programs that we have, and that's intentional. I mean, we grow all of our new varieties for photography, like we're growing several different types of Gomphrena. White being one of them. They're just starting to bloom, and you can see the pathways have filled in. If y'all remember, these were dirt, right? And we don't plant anything in them. This is just what grows up. So this is the Gomphrena mix. It's got the red, it's got orange, it has the pink. A lot of the orange, I love this orange color, because this can really go whichever way your bouquet's going. You know, it can get a little peachy, or it can get red. And perhaps my favorite, if you could have a favorite, Gomphrena. Gomphrena can be a tangly mess till you figure it out. This is my favorite for bouquets, the purple. Doesn't look like much now, y'all, because it's just starting up. Over there is basil. Those are our squash. That's an heirloom variety there, y'all. It doesn't have powdery mildew. That's just the color of the leaf. We have ageratum and basil, cinnamon and lemon, and more zinnias. I did cut just about a dozen marigolds today. This is my favorite stage, before that, while they still have that green in the middle. And the bad news, y'all, I squished my first Japanese beetle today, and it is beginning to rain here. This is Sunday Mix, which is really a rockin' mix. This bed, if y'all remember, if you follow along with us, is the bed that went through that hellacious windstorm right after we planted it. It was cold and raining and wet. I just can't believe this stuff survived. You know, we had it double covered. We're growing a lot more cosmos this year. I mean, they are not a commercial cut as far as I'm concerned. They just don't last long enough. But for our members-only market bouquets, customers like to have a few in their bouquets, but I would never perhaps sell them to florists. They just don't hold up long enough. And we've brought on board on our store the cosmos in solid colors, so you don't just have the mix. So you'll see a whole lot more of cosmos coming on board with us as we are working with those and trying them out. So that's the mix. There's some Purple Majesty, more straw flowers, and you can see I pinched this half, did not pinch that half, and that bed will get netted. The Majesty does not need to be netted, but unfortunately got planted in the middle of a bed that does need to be netted. This, if y'all don't know this, I'm like, orange is my favorite color. This is Sunday Orange, and I cut all of them today that were tall enough and big enough. This one wasn't quite. I mean, do you know what this color does to a bouquet? You can see where I stripped and cut stuff today. It just makes everything pop. And here's my little coxcomb single stem experiment. This is the new Act, new to me. I don't know how new it is. Single stem, it's super expensive seed, but it's so well worth it. So down there, you can see another green patch. That's spring green, which I've always grown for many years. And in its defense, you can tell it's shorter. It's in a bad spot. The front of my beds have a little bit of a drainage problem, the front 10 to 15 feet. And again, they went through that terrible storm. So we plant it about once a month, so we'll see how they compare. But I was doing a comparison. Look how tall. I mean, you can see, I don't know if you can tell, these are probably 10 inches above my knee. They're pretty tall. And this is Act Mix. And so I'm not a real fan of the fan coxcombs, that's these. This is the shape like, you know, flat like this, because it kind of shows the ugly part of it, right? I mean, we grow probably 20 different coxcombs. You'll find them all on our website. But this one, see, spring green just has a better head. You know, there's just all these little ribbons. And again, this color is just not as vibrant as it normally is. I mean, who wouldn't want that as filler in a bouquet, right? We've got our tunnel partially planted. I've got hyacinth beans and cucumbers. Here's a bed of zinnias that are not netted. And I think just to show everybody really why I believe that all beds should practically be netted. These will be fine until about a month from now, and then they'll be tall and a storm will come and just lay them all out. And then it's a blooming mess. You can't maintain your pathways. You have to cut your way through. It's a waste of time. So I've decided if I don't have time to net everything, I'm going to leave this bed unnetted as a experiment to show folks. These are more cosmos, this is sylphid, celosia, more feverfew. We'll walk down, we got to walk down this aisle, y'all. I just got my tomatoes strung. I do the Florida weave, got them up. That's what I did on Memorial Day. And so here's one of our sunflower plantings. And these guys have ook on their leaves from being irrigated. Look at that. So I will cut some of these tomorrow. I harvested everything this morning because it's supposed to start raining again tonight and it's going to rain all day tomorrow. Thursday is our big harvest day. So I stayed home from the fulfillment center and cut flowers this morning, and I feel so good about it. And y'all, I got to get down here to look back. These are those Sunfill sunflowers. These are not grown for a sunflower petal like you're used to. This is what it's grown for, the filler. These are saving our life in making bouquets. That's Sunfill green, and again, you'll find that over on our website. So I actually stripped some of these today and just didn't get back to cut them. I don't mind cutting sunflowers that are wet. Other flowers, not so much. So I'll come back and get these tomorrow. I'm going to cut through here, y'all. Oh my goodness. I'm not really dressed to be out here. This, and you really can't tell, this is brilliance. You know, I grow, other than the Sunfill, everything I grow is Pro Cuts. And this is Pro Cut Brilliance, and you can't hardly tell, but this is like a sunset, y'all. This flower is glowing. It's got this ring of a little bit darker orange, yellow in the center around the disc, and then it gets lighter as it goes to the petal. I mean, this is a sunflower you could just gaze into for hours, I'm telling you. So this little patch right here is what's called our bouquet mix. That's a mix of 4 orange-based Pro Cuts, so you get them all. This looks like the horizon, the one that faces up. And then we have just the plain orange. Yeah, look at this guy. I mean, that is just so easy to make a bouquet with. Here's the lemon. These guys were so short, I just left them out here. We just haven't had any rain here, y'all. And I just don't fret about it. And then here's some of the whites. Oh, look how buggy damaged this one is. See, it's so funny. Look how damaged that is, and I'm going to get that out of here. See that, all that poop? There is a caterpillar in there, and so funny. You know, I really miss giving programs. One of the things that I used to share with people were that you know, we don't use any pesticides here on my farm, whether it's organic or not. I mean, we don't use any because it does harm beneficial insects. That's just a fact. And the one product that I used to use was a BT. That's like a powder that you mix into water and you spray it on flowers that moths lay their babies on, which create these little caterpillars. There's one in here, and that's black stuff is all their poop. He's in there just eating up a storm, and that BT is 100% safe for other insects other than insects that eat the vegetation. Only those that eat the leaves or eat the plant die. Anyway, for years and years ago, I used to use that. But we have since learned, guess who the #1 eater of caterpillars is in my garden? Y'all aren't going to believe this when I tell you. You better just sit down. Wasps. Yes, I'm talking about those evil wasps that people, just like I was, were terrified of. And those guys are meat eaters. And I saw them twice today. You can sit here at our sunflower beds in the heat of the day and watch the wasps just go from bloom to bloom. They get them long before you even know those caterpillars are there. And I won't go give you the long explanation of what they do with their caterpillars, but wasps are meat eaters, and they just do a really good job of taking care of our garden. And so here's all of our squash. We have several heirloom varieties growing, and we haven't had any squash yet. Maybe after this rain we'll get some. So gang, just thought I'd give you a little walk about. I actually wanted to come out here and give a walk, and so I just prepared, tilled over there. That was clover. We're getting ready to make more beds for my carport is full of seedlings. You know, we are constantly starting seeds and planting. Our corn is still coming along over there. And so we're really busy getting everything planted and in shape for our open farm. We're just, I mean, y'all, there's people. So I've told you, I'm in southeastern Virginia. There are people coming from Colorado, Arizona, Boston. I mean, and our not only is our farm open, but our warehouse, which is about 4 miles from here, will also be open. And it's just going to be a ton of fun. It's free. It's a free-for-all. You don't need to, you just kind of show up. We have people helping with parking. This is the gold. You can see the green center right there. Love this baby. Here's one. You can see it better. This is such a pretty one. And you know, my theory, you know, on Friday evenings now at 6 p.m., it's like happy hour with me on Fridays, sowing my sunflowers. One of the things I'm thinking about when I'm sowing sunflowers is what season are these guys going to be blooming in? And what I learned, we have to walk up here and get my poor dog. It's raining on us. To see about what season is y'all, I'm sorry, I'm getting kind of rained on. What season is the bloom going to bloom in? So I was really choosing sunflower colors early in the season, and I still am. That'll just do great, that people don't even think they're sunflowers. They think because of the colors, they're just really different. So let's go over here and get Tucker. Y'all don't want to look at me. So there's our garden. So old Tuck's over here. So y'all, I'm going to get my doggy, and I'm glad you joined me here tonight. And I just hope that maybe you're going to come sit on that bench over there for our open farm. We're just really excited to have you guys come. So friends, till we meet again, ciao.